The cheat code is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the first new financial asset in 500 years. Biggest move is right here in front of us right now. So we have about the next 5 years to capture this massive, massive run-up, which is why we have a 5-year plan, okay? And we believe that by the end of that run-up, in about 5 years, Bitcoin will be about the same size of global store of value assets as gold.
The ultimate cheat code is here, and it's called Bitcoin. According to seasoned entrepreneur and investor Mark Moss, this asset could trigger the greatest wealth transfer of our time over the next 5 years. With a track record as a successful venture capitalist, author, and podcast host, Moss believes Bitcoin is rewriting the rules of money. Unlike traditional assets, Bitcoin operates outside the control of banks and collapsing fiat currencies. It doesn't require approval, rely on trust, or buckle under pressure. It runs on immutable code. As global confidence in legacy systems continues to erode, more capital is flowing into Bitcoin, making it a powerful hedge and a new store of value. Mark Moss sees Bitcoin as the financial foundation of the digital age, an asset designed for those ready to break free from failing systems. Stick around as he explains how Bitcoin can help you unlock real financial freedom within just 5 years.
Stop. You don't have time. Don't miss out this 2025 bull run. Educate yourself first ahead of the crowd. We have created the ultimate step-by-step crypto cheat guide that will guide you this bull run. Unlock the secrets of crypto and make smarter investments today. Now by clicking on the link below to get your exclusive copy just under $10.
Bitcoin is the first new financial asset in 500 years. Now, when we have a new financial asset, it's a new building block that allows us to build new things that we couldn't build before. When we all of a sudden had steel, we could build things we couldn't build before, like skyscrapers and bridges, right? And now we have a new financial asset. And this is what allows people like you and I to do the same playbook as the 1% are doing right now. Why? Well, number one, we have mathematical certainty. So we have digital scarcity. So we know that the Bitcoin supply goes up, there will never be more than 21 million, and we know the issuance of that. So every 4 years, the issuance of that Bitcoin that it caps at 21 million goes down, gets cut in half every 4 years. And so we have this certainty, all right? We have mathematical certainty, number one. Number two, we have scarcity and demand. So because Bitcoin is finite, all we have to do is understand the demand side. And as long as governments print more money, which seems like pretty much a certainty, and governments continue to want to increase censorship, then we can see that the demand will continue to rise. Now, we can understand the growth trajectory if we zoom out, and a lot of you are like, oh, Mark, it's just too volatile. It is, yes, but to the upside. So if you look at this path, you can see the projection. Now, it goes up and it comes down and up and down within this band. Okay, then we want to understand the growth trajectory. So I kind of showed you the history, but where is it going? Well, we can understand if we look at store of value assets, places that we park money. We save money in Bitcoin, in gold, collectibles, equities, real estate bonds, and money. So we have your savings. In 2010, that was valued at $387 trillion. 2010, 387. By 2020, this basket of goods was worth $852 trillion, from 330 to 850. Why? Why is that basket of savings, gold, real estate, equities, why is it getting bigger? It's getting bigger because it's where value is stored. And as the wealth of the world continues to grow, as governments continue to print money, these baskets grow from 380 to 852. Okay, so we can see that growing. Now, if we project that out based off of run rates, based off of what the government projects they'll continue to have deficit spending and so forth, we can project out from 2020 to where these basket of goods will be by 2030, and this $852 trillion basket will grow into 1.67 trillion or 1.6 quadrillion dollars, okay? So then the question is, what percentage of Bitcoin, how fast will Bitcoin continue to grow in this basket? Now we can see in recent history, Bitcoin's been going up by about 50% a year, and we think that will continue for a while. Now that will go down over time, and it will continue to go down. But what we understand is when we understand these technology cycles, using an S-curve, we know the biggest move is right here in front of us right now. So we have about the next 5 years to capture this massive, massive run-up, which is why we have a 5-year plan, okay? And we believe that by the end of that run-up, in about 5 years, Bitcoin will be about the same size of global store of value assets as gold. Bitcoin and gold will be about on par, about 20 trillion each. That's why this is the cheat code. It's the first asset that's going up this fast, and it allows us to do things that were typically only reserved for the wealthy that have a lot of money. Okay, so now that we have this new asset, this new cheat code, what kind of strategy can we deploy? Well, let's take a look. So number one, because we have this growth potential, what happens is historical growth rate equals self-repaying. What does that mean? So we want to, instead of selling assets, we borrow against the assets, right? So as long as the asset is growing faster than the rate of borrowing costs me, then it's basically self-paying. If I have an asset going up by 50% and I can borrow against it at 15%, I have a positive carry of 35%. I can do that forever. Number two, divisibility. With an asset like Bitcoin, I can borrow against small portions of it, unlike real estate. So with real estate, you have $1 million building, you have to refinance the $1 million. But what if you just need 50 grand? But you still got to refinance the $1 million, but I don't want to. That loan is good. I don't want to deal with the hassle. Okay? With Bitcoin, I can borrow against, I can take 5,000 or 10,000 or 50,000 or 100, whatever divisibility that you want. Liquidity, 24/7 global market for collateral and liquidity. The stock market's only open on banking hours on the weekdays. Again, trying to get money out of real estate could take a long time. I could literally pull out my phone right now and pull liquidity out against my Bitcoin in minutes directly from my phone. It's borderless, jurisdictionally free. I can use this money globally. Of course, if I take money from my house, if I refinance my house, it probably needs to stay in that same jurisdiction, in the same type of asset. But with Bitcoin, it's borderless, non-correlation, low correlation to traditional financial markets. So it's completely out of the system and it's verifiable. So I have true ownership. When I get it, I have it, I know I have it, nobody else has it. That's what makes this asset the cheat code and uniquely positioned to pull off this strategy right now.
Mark Moss believes we've reached a pivotal moment in financial history. Traditional systems are faltering, and for the first time, wealth strategies once reserved for the elite are becoming accessible to everyone. The old retirement model, working decades and slowly drawing down savings while hoping they last, is being replaced by a smarter approach. Thanks to Bitcoin's scarcity, portability, and 24/7 liquidity, there's now a new way to build and preserve wealth. Instead of selling assets and facing taxes, you can borrow against your Bitcoin. These loans are tax-free, your Bitcoin continues to appreciate, and you get immediate access to funds without the hassle of paperwork or market timing. This strategy removes the pressure to predict price movements since your asset remains untouched and keeps growing, ready to be passed on to future generations. Moss calls this approach the cheat code, not only because it accelerates wealth creation but because it outsmarts a system never designed for most people to win. Now, let's hear from Mark Moss as he explains his 5-year plan for building lasting, tax-efficient wealth through Bitcoin.
We're in the final phase of this bull run. Let me guide you. We've launched DailyDoseCrypto Alpha, a free private Telegram group just for the DailyDoseCrypto family. Inside, I'll guide you through profit-taking strategies, real trading tactics, long-term crypto investing mindset. Only 500 spaces available, then it's closed. If you're serious about this bull run, click the private link to join now.
Okay, so if we compare this, remember this is the old way. We don't like that. Selling assets for income, paying taxes on withdrawals, depleting principal over time, so you die with zero. Hope you don't outlive your savings. Heaven forbid you live longer. Vulnerable to market timings, 40 years. That's a non-starter. So the strategy, the cheat code strategy, the 5-year retirement is allowing us to keep our assets so they continue to grow over time. They continue to grow for the rest of our life. And even better, when I die and pass them on to my heirs, they keep growing for them. Okay, number 2, we can borrow against our assets tax-free. So over here, when I sold my assets to pay for my life, then I had to pay the taxes. Remember, all that money in my 401k was growing tax deferred. But when I pull it out, I got to pay taxes. Over here, instead I borrow against the asset, and that money is debt, so it's tax-free. I don't pay any money on that. Over here, I never deplete my principal. My principal continues to go up and up and up forever, which means I can pass wealth to the next generation. I don't have to hope that I die earlier than my money runs out. Instead, I can live forever, my assets live forever, and that value gets passed to future generations. It's immune to market timing risk. We don't have to worry about if the stock market's going to plunge for 15 years because we're not selling the asset. We don't need to sell at a high point or a low point. We're not selling it. We're borrowing against it, and this allows us to have a 5-year implementation time frame, even if you start right now. We're gonna break down the math for you. So let's take a look at this. Okay, so for the 5-year blueprint, 3 simple steps. Step number 1, start getting some Bitcoin. You gotta have some Bitcoin to do this. So strategic accumulation, a couple ways you can do this. Obviously, number 1, just go buy it. We call that lump sum buying. Number 2, you can dollar cost average into it. Every 2 weeks, some of your paycheck can go into it if you wanna do it that way, or you can just go buy some right now. I don't wanna get into the ins and outs of which one is better. They're both good. It depends on what you're trying to do. All right, number 2, then once we have the Bitcoin, we use strategic leverage, collateralized lending against that, and then the loans that we get become the cash flow that we can use. Let me break this down for you. So here's how this works. I can put up here my starting date, so beginning of this year, 2025, and I can put in how much Bitcoin I have. So let's say I start with 1 Bitcoin right here. 1 Bitcoin, $100,000. Now, in 5 years, this Bitcoin will go up. Now, these are my projections of how much it will gain based off of the past history and what the government tells us as far as money printing will continue. They project that for the next 30 years. Okay, so, and there's also on the calculator, you can go back test it on this on your own. So Bitcoin typically has 3 good years and then a drawdown year. So I imagine we'll continue that. Now it doesn't continue going up at the same rate, but it also doesn't continue going down at the same rate. So I've modeled that as well. If I have 1 Bitcoin right here, it's worth about 100,000 today, and I wait until 2030, 5 years from now, I would then borrow against it $111,000. That's 13% of my total value. I'm going to borrow 13% LTV. I borrow $111,000. $11,000 of that goes into an interest reserve account. It sits in an account and it makes my payment for me. That means I have $100,000 of free cash flow. I don't pay tax on it. I can spend that $100,000 however I want. And what this will allow is every single year in perpetuity for me to pull out $100,000 tax-free to live up on. So if this model holds, and I can break it down for you why I think it does, you could have 1 Bitcoin, about $100,000 today, and in 5 years from now, pull out $100,000 in perpetuity. Now let's compare this to what the traditional financial model is. Remember, half of the baby boomers who have money have about $200,000. They're being told they can pull out about 4% per year, heaven forbid the markets crash, which is about, $8,000 or $9,000 a year. Versus this, the $200,000 would get them $200,000 a year. So would you rather wait 40 years, save up 200 grand and have 800 a month, or, 9 grand a year? Or would you rather have 200 grand and pull out 200 grand a year in 5 years? Obviously, the answer is pretty simple. But Mark, what about market cycles? Yes. So we can see that. Again, we know when they go up, we know when they go down, up and down. So here I might borrow only, 10 to 15% against my stack. Here I could feel good, borrowing 50 to 60% against my stack. We can time all that. And again, the calculator models all of that. Now, traditionally, and again, this is only possible to deploy these strategies of the 1% now because we have a new financial asset. All you gotta do is buy it and wait 5 years and not mess this up. All you have to do is don't mess this up. Don't mess this up. Look, I put this post on X the other day, and it was like Larry Fink, the largest asset manager in the world, he says to buy Bitcoin. And Ray Dalio, the largest hedge fund manager in the world, says to buy Bitcoin. Donald Trump, the president of the United States, to say buy Bitcoin. And you might still think it's like a scam. You're not smarter than those guys. Do not mess this up. We have this very unique window right now for the next 12 to 24 months. I showed you the charts why. You have 5 years. Don't mess this up. All you do is take one easy step. You just buy Bitcoin. You can outperform every single hedge fund in the US, every single fund, every single retirement plan. You don't need to save 40 years. This is literally the cheat code, one simple thing. But you're at a crossroads. You have 2 paths forward. Do you take the 40-year path, or do you take the less than 5-year path? That's up to you.
Here's Mark Moss with his ultimate strategy for building lasting wealth using Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin is scarce, liquid, and operates independently from traditional financial systems, it acts as productive capital. Instead of selling and triggering taxes, you borrow against it, allowing your Bitcoin to keep compounding. The process is straightforward. Accumulate Bitcoin, hold it, and use it as collateral to access cash when needed. This approach protects your wealth, preserves your upside potential, and frees you from relying on flawed financial systems. It's the same kind of strategy the wealthy have relied on for years, now powered by Bitcoin and accessible to everyone. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.